Welcome to TWMP Overtime. As you can tell, we've got rid of the boring suits and have the wonderful jackets on. Center of the most wonderful time of the year. We're leading into Oktoberfest. It's not a pennant chase this year. It's a wild card chase. Does this team make the playoffs?
Well, for a German-American Cardinal fan, you're right. This is a great time of the year.
It is.
Cheers. You know, this is a team, I don't know. I'm optimistic. I think the best thing you can say right now is they're getting healthy. They've been kind of inconsistent. I mean, when you've had Grichuk up and down, Wong up and down, you know, between the minors and the majors, you've had injuries to Moss and Carpenter and Holiday.
Diaz.
And Diaz, who was kind of a centerpiece and a big surprise. They're all coming back. The question is, can we be consistent enough to hold on to one of these two spots? I think that we can. And then it's like, you know, maybe it's like 2011, it's like 2006, where you get hot at the right time. Now, I think the big question mark then is starting pitching, which has been more inconsistent than I would have thought. That it was really a strength last year. Other than Martinez, who's really, I think, kind of established himself as the ace. Wainwright has been good, but had some, you know, it's been a tougher year for him. But when you get into the playoffs, you can kind of roll with a 3-pitcher rotation.
Yeah.
And I think if we can get there, especially in that short series, which would likely be against the Cubs, who have not won the World Series, as you know, since TV or radio was invented.
I keep a running total. There's 17 people alive in the United States that were alive in 1908.
I believe that. You know, the Ottoman Empire was still a thing when the Cubs last won the World Series. So it's been a long time. But we've got to do our job. We've got to get there. And just like happened last year, we won 100 games last year. The Cubs got hot at the right time. So there's a lot to be determined, but I think the health improving is a big deal.
In 06, the closer was out towards the end of the year. New closer throughout the midseason. Wainwright took over Isringhausen. Holiday wasn't with the team, but you had the old core of Edmonds, Rowland, both spent time on the DL that year. It was a banged-up team. Probably had its opening day lineup on the field for one of the first times that game in San Diego in 06. This, to me, looks a little bit like the 06 team, that if we get someone, if Waka can come back and contribute, it may be like in 11 with the pitching, where you got a 3 or 4 inning start in the playoffs.
Well, that's right, and I actually think, I'm glad you brought that up, I think the strength of this team in the playoffs could be the bullpen, in that, you know, O has been, you know, the final boss. I mean, he has been the final boss, the Stone Buddha himself. But you also have Reyes, who will probably end up back in the bullpen and can give you a couple innings when you really need it in the playoffs. And we've seen playoffs play a much larger role in those series than they do over the course of the season. Lance Lynn may be back. And if you remember back in 2011, Lance Lynn was dominant out of the pen. He won't have to worry about, you know, when you're a starter, you have to mix in pitches.
What about Waka?
Yeah. Waka could, you know, his health, I don't know. Hopefully he can come back. But again, if you get healthy at the right time, that bullpen could really be a strength. And so some of the concerns we have with consistency of starting pitching, maybe, you know, less of an issue.
You start Carlos Martinez in the playing game?
Absolutely. No question.
Who's the better team to play? The Giants are, I mean, we've been inconsistent. The Giants are in free fall. We've had this inconsistent year, except we're right there for the wild card. Giants have been losing. The Mets have been hot now, but they're not consistent. Who do you want to play?
You know, the Giants have had our number. Actually, you know, their mentality is very similar to the Cardinals.
In San Francisco, too, that'd be tough.
Now, we've been better on the road, so you almost rather...
Explain that.
I don't get it. The Cardinals have been dominant for this run since 2000 at home, but this year...
Is this a home run hitting team in a park that's not conducive to home runs? Is that...
Well, it's interesting because we've not really been a home run team in a while, and we've been a better home team for a very long while. So it's a different kind of year. But I think the depth of the roster with guys like Jerko and even Hazelbaker coming off the bench. I mean, they've set a major league record for a number of pinch hit home runs. So there's got some pop off the bench, which again matters in those situations where you see more pitching.
That was not the case.
Yeah, when you see more pitching changes in the playoffs. So I think this team actually sets up better as a postseason team maybe than the course of the season. And I think last year, if you looked, we were set up very well for the long haul, but you got in that short series, power pitching and, you know, being able to score runs really matters in the playoffs. We didn't have as much of that last year.
Do we have the defense to compete in the playoffs?
The defense is a challenge.
I mean, that is something that you could make an argument that pitching could get hot behind Martinez. You could make an argument we could hit some home runs. You could make an argument guys come back and the bullpen's a strength. I don't see you make an argument that we have a good defense.
No, it's traditionally been a strength of Cardinal teams. Up the middle, you know, we got to get Diaz back, but up the middle.
But he's not exactly Ozzie Smith.
No, he's not.
I mean,
and you know, he's yeah. So I think, you know, Molina I'm a little concerned. Molina is playing more games than I would have hoped he'd be playing right now. But they've had injuries again.
Every time I see Fryer hitting for the Pirates, it breaks my heart because that was just,
Now they called the kid up, but I think that up the middle, Molina is still a strength of this ball club, but definitely the defense is an issue, and all those things are highlighted in a short series. When one game is the difference, an error here or there can determine whether or not you move on or not. So, it is.
Well, we saw Jaime Garcia in Busch Stadium in Game 2 last year. I think the series took a turn when Garcia didn't field his position.
Well, as you remember, we did our playoff preview. We were feeling pretty good after Game 1, and then we did our thing outside there and felt good. Garcia who was our best pitcher at home, going in Game 2. We could have really gone up on the Cubs 2-0, and then that thing.
To this day, I look back on the pregame ritual as part of the reason that did not go well. Not going to point any fingers, but no. So give me the prediction. Do we make the wild card?
I think we make the wild card.
Where do we end up in wins?
I don't know. Maybe we get 90.
Yeah, I think 90 gets you in.
Yeah.
Are we on the road?
Probably.
I'm going to make a prediction. We're on the road. We're at Los Angeles. It's Kershaw Martinez, and we keep our curse on.
That would be great. Talk about Kershaw being cursed against the Cardinals.
Real quick, give me your best lineup.
A lot of it.
Everybody healthy.
A lot of it depends on Colton Wong. I believe Colton Wong is he's had a rough year.
You set Peralta for Wong?
I don't think Peralta's as automatic because of his injuries.
But if you play Kershaw, Peralta plays third base.
Yeah,
right?
I think the best way to look at it is if Holiday's back, he's in left field.
Yeah.
Grichuk is in center. Piscotty has been the most consistent player. He may be my new favorite player. I love Stephen Piscotty, and he
plays the game the right way.
He does. He's smart. He hits to all fields.
Do you play Moss, or do you play Adams against Kershaw? Because we remember 2 years ago the huge home run.
I think you're going to do matchups, but Moss has been incredible. The power that he has provided.
Against the lefty, you bat Matt Adams because of the home run.
I think you got to see how Peralta plays. Carpenter's probably at second. Diaz is at short, and Peralta's probably at third. But you've got some
against
options.
A right-hander. Do you play Wong at second?
You could, yeah. Peralta? Yeah, and I think that's, again, how Wong is playing. He had a good road trip. They're back home, and, their home stands have been challenging.
Hasn't went well.
But I feel good about that. Again, a lot of it is determined on health. A lot of teams can say that, though. The Mets, for example, have injury issues. They're getting a little healthier, and they're getting hotter. So it really is going to depend on the last week who gets hot at the right time.
I predict we go on the road to Los Angeles. We beat Kershaw. We take it in ODS to Game 5, and we have a herd of goats steam the field. And Chapman has an injury similar to Vince Coleman with the tarp, except this time it's a herd of goats takes Chapman out. I think we win in a dramatic home run.
So I'm going to say we go to San Francisco and exercise the demons. Against San Francisco, this team feels good about itself. Then we take on the Cubs, and it's a little bit of revenge from last year, and I'll take my chances.
No matter what's happened to this country, we've never lost a playoff series to the Cubs. Thanks, Obama. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that is a legacy.
Lastly, last time, Oktoberfest coming up. You're the highest-ranking German elected official in the state. There's been a column written by the Missouri Times calling on one of the state's great leaders, Francis Slay, during his last Oktoberfest as mayor to right the wrongs that was done last century, where they renamed, kind of in a racist knee-jerk reaction, they renamed some traditionally German-named streets. Would you join in our call for the mayor to step up, rename Berlin Avenue, rename some of those historic German streets
let me check out
in honor of the German American?
Yeah, let me check out
some
the names first.
Some of them probably aren't appropriate.
Let me check out the names first. But I would say this:
Berlin Avenue would fit.
The legislature, for example, took the lead. We have a German American corridor now in this state that stretches from east to west. These are my people. They came from Germany 6 generations ago, settled in mid-Missouri. We have a proud beer tradition in this state. I think that we need to do everything we can to promote German-American culture, and I'll work with anybody on that issue.
Very great. Thank you. This Week in Missouri Politics Overtime. I hope we're back for a playoff edition. Until
that'd
then,
be great.
We'll see you next week on This Week in Missouri Politics, and we'll see you hopefully in October with the Blazers back on.